You believe that winning an argument is a sign of strength. You think that by crushing your opponent's logic with facts, you earn respect. You are a fool. 99% of men fail because their ego demands immediate validation. They follow the moral advice of being authentic and standing their ground. This makes you predictable. It makes you a target. Your transparency is not a virtue, it is your prison. While you are busy shouting your truth, the world is preparing to bypass you. You are not a leader. You are a loud, mouthed prey animal begging to be slaughtered by those who actually understand the mechanics of dominion. The mechanism here is the law of strategic surrender. It operates on the psychological principle of cognitive closure. When you stop resisting, your enemy's brain ceases its defensive fire. Think of the butcher. He does not fight the ox. He waits for the beast to exhaust itself before the final, effortless cut. Biologically, the human brain is wired for reciprocity. When you agree, you trigger a massive release of dopamine in your opponent's mind, blinding them with the euphoria of victory. They become cognitively lazy. Their guard drops because they believe they have conquered you. In reality, you have simply redirected their momentum, like a river being diverted toward a cliff. You are the fox, using their own weight to break their neck. Consider the boardroom. A rival proposes a disastrous project to undermine your department. The knave man fights it and looks like a saboteur. You praise the vision. You offer resources to enhance it, adding layers of complexity that ensure its collapse. You become his greatest ally as he walks into the furnace. By the time the flames rise, your hands are clean and he is a charred memory. You didn't push him, you simply polished the floor beneath his feet. To master this today, follow these steps. Step 1. Seen in your next conflict. Wait for your opponent to finish their point. Count to 3 in total silence. Then say, "You're absolutely right. I hadn't considered it from that angle." Step 2. Inactively find one minor flaw in your own previous position and concede it to them. Watch their posture relax. That is the moment they lose. Step 3. Immediately suggest a next step that subtly serves your agenda while framing it as a way to execute their brilliant idea. If you ignore this, you will remain a loud, broke, and bitter casualty of your own pride. The world does not reward the right, it rewards the effective. Surrender the battle to inherit the empire. You believe that giving orders makes you a leader. You think that by exerting your will directly, you prove your status. You are delusional. 99% of men fail because they act like petty tyrants, demanding obedience and inviting secret rebellion. They follow the moral advice of being direct and honest. This transparency is your death warrant. It makes you a wall that others want to climb over or tear down. Your honesty is actually a lack of impulse control. By being the source of the command, you become the target of the resentment. You think you are a lion, but you are merely a loud animal announcing its location to every hunter in the jungle. The mechanism here is the illusion of autonomy. It exploits a fundamental biological drive, the need for agency. The human brain is hardwired to resist external control, a phenomenon known as psychological reactance. When you force a man, he sabotages you to regain his sense of self. But when you provide options, the brain shifts from resistance to valuation. Think of it like gravity. You don't fight the stone to stay on the ground. The environment dictates the behavior. By framing the choices, you dictate the environment. You are not a commander. You are an architect. When a man chooses the path you paved for him, his ego becomes the guarantor of your success. He will fight to defend the choice because he believes it is his own. Imagine a high-stakes negotiation or a power struggle with a defiant subordinate. The amateur says, "Do it my way or leave." The strategist presents two carefully curated paths. We can either move forward with the aggressive expansion, which requires your specific expertise in the field, or we can take the conservative route and risk losing the market lead to our rivals. Both paths serve your end. Expansion or heightened competition that forces them to work harder. But because they selected the strategy, they are now emotionally invested in the outcome. You haven't forced a slave, you have recruited an apostle. To execute this today, follow these steps. Step 1. Stop giving direct orders. Replace, do this, with "I've identified 2 ways to handle this. Which do you think is more effective?" Step 2. Ensure both options result in your desired outcome, but make one appear slightly more courageous or intellectual to bait their ego. Step 3. Once they choose, congratulate them on their insight. Use the phrase, "I agree. Your logic on that is sound. Let's proceed with your plan." If you ignore this, you will spend your life fighting unnecessary wars against those you seek to lead. You will be exhausted by the friction of your own making. He who grants the choice owns the result. You believe that your voice is your power. You think that by explaining yourself, defending your honor, or filling the air with your expertise, you are asserting dominance. You are a fool. 99% of men fail because they are terrified of a quiet room. They follow the moral advice of being communicative and open. This is not strength, it is a leak. Every word you utter is a piece of intelligence you surrender to your enemy. Your constant chatter is a nervous tick, a signal to the world that you are uncomfortable, insecure, and desperate for approval. You think you are a lion roaring, but you are merely a bird chirping, alerting the predator to your exact location. The mechanism here is the silence of the predator. It functions as a psychological vacuum. Humans are biologically social animals. We are wired to seek equilibrium in interaction. When you withhold response, you create an unbearable tension in the other person's brain. Their amygdala triggers a stress response, interpreting your silence as a threat or a judgment. To relieve this internal pressure, they will speak. They will justify. They will reveal their secrets, their insecurities, and their bottom lines. Think of it as a hidden dagger. You are not striking. You are simply holding the blade still while they run onto it. You aren't doing the work. Their own anxiety is doing it for you. Consider a high-stakes salary negotiation or a confrontation with a business rival. They make a low-ball offer or an aggressive accusation. The weak man reacts instantly with a defense. You look them in the eye and say nothing. You maintain a cold, neutral expression for 5, 10, 15 seconds. The air in the room becomes heavy. They will start to fidget. They will say, "Of course, we could adjust the numbers," or "I didn't mean it that way." They have just handed you the leverage because they couldn't handle the mirror of your silence. They have negotiated against themselves. To master this today, follow these steps. Step 1. In every conversation, practice the 5-second rule. After someone finishes speaking, count to 5 in your head before responding. Watch them scramble to clarify their points. Step 2. Eliminate all filler, sounds, thumbs, and likes. A man who can control his tongue can control a room. Step 30. Use the dead air tactic. When you ask a question and get a short answer, do not follow up. Simply keep looking at them. They will give you the truth just to stop the discomfort. If you ignore this, you will continue to bleed influence through your mouth. You will be handled by those who know how to listen while you babble. The loudest man in the room is the weakest. The silent man is the master. You believe that your unique personality is your greatest asset. You think that by being authentic and showing the world who you really are, you will attract loyalty and respect. You are a child. 99% of men fail because they are blinded by their own ego, constantly seeking to be understood rather than seeking to understand. They follow the moral advice of just being yourself. This is a death sentence in the theater of power. When you show your true self, you show your boundaries, your weaknesses, and your predictable patterns. You become a fixed target. You are not an individual. You are a prey animal advertising its vulnerabilities to the narcissists who run the world. The mechanism here is the false mirror. It exploits the biological reality of mirror neurons and the psychological phenomenon of narcissistic projection. Humans are inherently self-obsessed. They are most comfortable when they see their own values, rhythms, and gestures reflected back at them. When you mirror a target, you bypass their analytical mind and speak directly to their lizard brain. It signals, "I am like you, I am safe." Think of it as the ocean. It has no shape of its own, but it takes the shape of whatever vessel it enters. By reflecting their desires, you dissolve their defenses. You become a ghost in their machine, a phantom that they cannot help but trust because, in reality, they are only falling in love with themselves. In the world of high-level networking, the amateur tries to impress a VP with his own accolades. The strategist does the opposite. If the target is a stoic, no-nonsense executive, you become concise and cold. If the target is a flamboyant visionary, you mirror their expansive gestures and idealistic vocabulary. You adopt their pace, their tone, and their hidden insecurities. Within minutes, they will feel an unexplained bond with you. They will open doors for you that they would never open for an authentic stranger. You haven't made a friend, you have built a bridge directly into their fortress. To execute this today, follow these steps. Step 1. Observe the baseline. Spend the first 5 minutes of any interaction purely observing the other person's breathing rate, hand gestures, and word choice. Step 2. Subtly match and lead. Adopt their posture and speech speed. If they lean in, you lean in. If they use technical jargon, you use it too. Step 3. Validate their narcissism. Mirror their core values back to them by saying, I can see you value efficiency, loyalty, vision above all else. I've always operated with that same philosophy. If you ignore this, you will remain an outsider, forever knocking on doors that will never open for the authentic man. You will be a solo actor in a world that only pays attention to its own reflection. To control the man, you must first become his shadow. You believe that being present is the only way to maintain influence. You think that by being the most reliable, available, and consistent man in the room, you become indispensable. You are a servant. 99% of men fail because they confuse activity with value. They follow the moral advice of showing up every day and being there for others. This is your undoing. When you are always there, you become a utility, like tap water, taken for granted and only noticed when you are gone. Your constant presence isn't loyalty, it's a lack of options. You are not a lion, you are a stray dog begging for scraps of attention, proving to everyone that your time has no market value. The mechanism here is the calculated withdrawal. It is governed by the economic principle of scarcity. In the human brain, value is not inherent, it is assigned based on difficulty of acquisition. Biologically, the brain ignores repetitive stimuli to conserve energy. This is habituation. When you are always available, you are a repetitive stimulus. By withdrawing, you trigger the loss aversion response in others. The sudden vacuum creates anxiety and a spike in your perceived status. Think of it as the tide. It is the receding water that makes the beach look vast and creates the power of the incoming wave. You are leveraging the fear of the void to force them to re-evaluate your worth. Consider the dynamic in a high-performing team or a romantic pursuit. The amateur responds to every message instantly and attends every trivial meeting, hoping to be seen as vital. The strategist knows better. After establishing a period of high-value contribution, you go dark. You miss a key social event. You become unreachable for a strategic 48 hours. The collective imagination of the group begins to work in your favor. They don't think you are lazy. They fear you are moving on to something better. When you finally reappear, you do not apologize. You return as a prize, not a petitioner. They will greet you with a deference they never showed when you were always underfoot. To execute this today, follow these steps. Step 1. Identify your high-visibility moments. Ensure you are brilliant when present, then immediately vanish. Step 2. Master the selective delay. Never respond to non-emergency communications immediately. Force them to wait at least twice as long as they expected. Step 3. Use the phantom opportunity phrase. When asked where you've been, respond with, I've had to prioritize some significant developments elsewhere. Offer no further details. If you ignore this, you will be used until you are hollow and then discarded for the next reliable tool. You will be a background character in your own life. Absence sharpens the blade, presence dulls the edge. You believe that appearing invincible is the ultimate shield. You think that by hiding every flaw and projecting a facade of total perfection, you command respect. You are a target. 99% of men fail because they are paralyzed by the fear of looking weak. They follow the moral advice of never letting them see you sweat. This is a strategic blunder. Pure, unadulterated strength is a provocation. It breeds envy, suspicion, and a collective desire among the masses to see you fall. By showing no cracks, You force your enemies to dig deeper and strike harder to find them. You are not a fortress. You are a tall tree in a storm, destined to be snapped by the wind of collective resentment. The mechanism here is the trap of manifest vulnerability. It utilizes the psychological principle of pratfall effect, where a minor flaw makes a high-status individual appear more relatable and less threatening. Biologically, the human brain is wired to scan for threats. A perfect rival is a constant threat. A rival with a visible weakness is a manageable one. Think of it as the hidden dagger. You are purposely revealing a dull blade to hide the razor in your boot. By confessing a harmless defect, you satisfy the ego of your enemies. They stop looking for your real vulnerabilities because they believe they have already found them. You aren't being honest. You are providing them with a false sense of superiority to keep them complacent. Consider the corporate ladder or a political circle. The amateur tries to hide the fact that he is struggling with a specific, minor technical task. The strategist, however, openly admits a struggle with something trivial. Perhaps he confesses to being terrible at organizing his digital files or admits a habit of being too perfectionistic. His rivals smirk, feeling a surge of secret triumph over his incompetence, while they are busy gossiping about his messy desktop or his fixation on details. He is quietly securing the board seats and the major contracts. They feel safe around him because they think they have his number. By the time they realize the flaw was a decoy, the trap has already closed. To execute this today, follow these steps. Step 1. Select a strategic flaw, something that does not affect your core competency but is visible enough to be noticed. Step 2. Confess this flaw in a moment of apparent candor. Use a phrase like, "I'll be honest, I've always struggled with a minor task. It's my Achilles heel." Step 3. Watch for their reaction. The moment they offer help or a condescending smile, you know their guard is down. That is your window to move on your true objective. If you ignore this, you will be hunted by the very people you seek to lead. Your perfection will become the rope they use to hang you. Give them a small victory today to ensure their total defeat tomorrow.